It's certainly very hard to forecast the strategy which will be used by Donald Trump about Ukraine. But we know that he has a very big power, not only in the US, but also at the international level. So it's not so easy for Russia to be sure of the result. So we can say that we are in wartime, that it's important to see the whole framework and to understand that the situation is quite different. Why? Because when Donald Trump mentioned Panama Canal, it was for China. When Donald Trump mentioned Canada, it was for Russia and China. When Donald Trump mentioned Greenland, it was also for Russia and China. So the idea is that it's quite impossible for Donald Trump to let Putin win. And it's very important to realize this effect on his strategy because it was quite different to say that I'm not exactly at the same line of Joe Biden. I'm different. But now, as he will be the president of the US, the situation is totally different because we are talking about the relation between the US and Russia, which is totally different. Why? Because it's not more just a war in Ukraine, it's also a second Cold War between the US and Russia, and of course, China. So it's impossible to solve the problem of Ukraine just with a fake peace because it will be the victory of Putin. And Donald Trump is quite smart to imagine that this negative point will have an impact on him. So the idea is another point of view is to continue to help Ukraine, is to continue to talk about negotiation, but not about the end of the war in a classical way, because we have also the structure of the US about its defense and also its security. So it's very clear that we are talking about a conflict between Russia and NATO. And we don't want, of course, a full scale conflict, but we don't want also the victory of an invasion. So the idea is to take more time to think about the negotiations, the end, and the post-war situation. Because the most important thing for the US is, of course, the post-war situation, but this situation depends on the war and its end. So the idea is that the strategy of Donald Trump will be more complex and certainly, for the same reason, more efficient in order to be more robust.